Hello everybody and welcome to GoFormative number 10. GoFormative help number 10. If you have done this one already and you just want to double check that you did what you needed to do correctly, then please continue watching. If you already know how to multiply and divide and you know you did this correctly, you can go on to the next one. But it's always good to double check. So let's just get right into the double checking. I'm looking at this first one right here, and I'll read the problem. It says the children sold lemonade for 25 cents per cup. If they sold 40 cups of lemonade, how much did they collect? So here's your 40 cups times by what they sold it for, and 40 times 0.25, and you can just do that in your calculator. If you want to do it in your head, you can do what is, quarter is 1/4 of a dollar. So what's 1/4 times 40? What's a fourth of 40? So it's 10. So the answer there is going to be 10. This next one, you want to look carefully. Are we going to multiply or divide here? It says the children sold 50 cups and they only made $25. So how much was each cup of lemonade? So if you want to think about it this way, this is a great way to make it like the last problem. To make this problem like the last problem, this was a times because you had this many cups times how much each cup was. Here we're missing some data. We know that 50 cups were sold. We don't know what each cup sold for, but we do know that $25 was made. And that follows the same pattern as the one before where there was 40 cups times 25 cents and it made $10. And so if you're thinking about this variable as like x solving for a letter, you're just dividing. And that's why over here it shows $25 divided by 50. That's actually 1/2, or in decimal that's 0.5, as in 50 cents. So each cup sold 50 cents. Over here, the children sold large cups of lemonade for $1.25 and made a total of $25. How many cups did they sell? It's the same problem. So here's what you need to do. You need to figure out what piece of data is missing. Did they give me the cups? Did they tell me how much each cup was? Did they give me the total? What did they give me? And put it in that same format each time. Cups, money, and then total. Okay, that'd be what I would do. And if you get both the cups and the money, you times them. If you get the cups but then you get the total profit, you need to divide them. Just the common mistake what kids do is they divide the wrong way. In a problem like this one here, they wouldn't do 25 over 50. They'd accidentally do 50 divided by 25, and they would say it's $2 per cup. So how do you fix that if someone's thinking, oh, it's $2 per cup on this answer? Well, go back to the problem. If you really sold 50 cups for $2 per cup, it's going to be $100? It's not going to be $25. So one way you can double check this is just make sure it makes sense. Like on this first one, is it really $10 total profit? If each of the cups you sold is 25 cents and you have 40 quarters, is 40 quarters $10? That's another thing. So when you go down here and you look at number 1, number 2, number 3, even 4, they're going to match those same things we just did. Here's number 6. They sold for 75 cents each cup, and they made a total of $30. How many cups did they sell? This time you have the money and you have the total. So money, total. You don't have how many cups, so we're going to divide, okay? If they ever give us these two, we're going to divide. So something to think about. Am I going to multiply or divide? Then we get to number 8. Number 8 is greater than, less than, or equal to. Anytime the problem says inequality, greater than, less than, or equal to, less than, greater than, equal to. You're going to throw one of those signs in between each one of these. -8 and -6. Which one's bigger? Which one's smaller? How do you put the right sign in? They're definitely not equal. -8 is less than -6. That's tricky because 8 is typically bigger than 6, but this is a negative, and so it's less than that. So that is, just be careful. You double check that. Okay. Same thing here with fractions. If you need to divide those in a calculator to figure out which one's bigger or smaller, you can do that. You can use a calculator. Absolute value. If you forgot what absolute value was, I wrote it here. This is the definition. It's the distance from 0. So no matter what number I ask you about, how far away is that number from 0? It'll always be a positive number. There's no negative spaces. So if it's -3, absolute value of -3 is 3 because it's literally 3 spaces from 0. That is absolute value. So now you're going to do the same thing. You're going to use these symbols, but you're going to do it with absolute value. So let's just take one of them. Take this one right here. 5 is greater than or less than the absolute value of -7. So you have to know the absolute value of -7 is how many spaces from 0? 7. So now you're really just looking at this. 5 is less than 7. And that's how you do that. Put these numbers in order. You've got that. You've got that. You've got that. What is the opposite of any number? A lot of kids ask me that. The opposite of any number is that number is negative or whatever makes it 0. So if it's 2, 2 minus 2 is 0. So the opposite of 2 is -2. So you can kind of explain that in your opposite. And then they give you some examples. Opposite of 8, -8. Sum. Sum means to add if you forgot. So if it says, what is the sum of 5 and its opposite? Well, I just went over that. Here's 2 and its opposite. What is any number and its opposite always going to give you? And that is what we're talking about. What are two different numbers that are equally 50 units from 0? So that is great because you're looking at the absolute value of x equals 50. On both sides of the number line, if you think of a number line and call this -50 and call this 50, zeros in between, right? Isn't -50 50 spaces and isn't 50 50 spaces? So what two numbers are 50 spaces from 0? And that would be -50 and 50. And you could do the same thing with other numbers, okay? Like, what two numbers have the absolute value of 6? I'll let you figure that one out. And same thing with 15. So there's your instructions on that. Good luck. Have a good night.